Those of you who have been to Samothrace know it as a numinous, almost magical place. Its attraction in antiquity was no less. From Homer's evocative description in the Iliad to the mixed reality technology of the HoloLens, Samothrace has inspired the imagination. As the exhibition unfolds chronologically, the works reflect the cultural horizons and historical horizons, as well as the values, knowledge, and imagination of the people who created them. But even within this considerable range of expression, several constant themes emerge. A highly visible yet isolated island, a place of wild natural beauty animated by natural forces, wind, water, earthquake, connected with divine presence. A majestic place embodying freedom, with inhabitants admirable in their bravery, self-sufficient community, and traditional Hellenic pastoral livelihood. A place of refuge and transformation, politically and spiritually. Now, for the mixed reality component of the exhibition, Katie, I may need you. Sorry. Why are we not? We're not advancing. And Alepto? Okay. So for the HoloLens part of the exhibition, I invite you to the symposium that will be held here next week, Three-Dimensional Experiences of Ancient Environments, on Thursday and Friday, again of next week, Cotsen Hall, when you'll have the opportunity to have a guided tour through the virtual sanctuary, along with several other cutting-edge projects in digital and virtual technologies. Now, we owe many thanks to so many people who have made this exhibition a success. We're grateful to generations of scholars who have contributed to the Samothrace Field Project. We're grateful to the support and collaboration we've received from the leaders and staff of the Archaeological Service over many decades, including our current F4, Domna Tertsopoulou. We are grateful to the Samothracians who have worked alongside us, to our universities who have supported us, and to the American School of Classical Studies for its dedication to fostering North American intellectual partnerships with Greece from prehistory to the present. We thank the Benaki Museum, the National Gallery Alexandros Soutsos Museum, the Sotiros Felios Collection, and the Bodleian Libraries of the University of Oxford, the American School Archives, Gennadius Library, and Blagan Libraries, as well as private lenders for contributing to the exhibition. Many people have helped us along the way, and we've tried to acknowledge them in the banners that you'll see in the exhibition, alongside the names in the research teams whose work you'll see presented also in the exhibition. But a core group of people saw us valiantly to this evening, and I'd like to express my gratitude to my very dedicated co-curators, Ellen Archie and Rebecca Salem, who've worked for several years to bring this project to fruition. To Dimitri Matsas and Krisa Karadima, who have made many important contributions to the content of the exhibition, to Athanasios Vitsas, mayor of Samothrace, for his support, to Bailey Green, who helped us shape the environmental ideas and edited multiple drafts of the catalog, to Maggie Popkin, who took the lead to organize the symposium, to Ioanna Damanaki, who worked tirelessly as registrar and as translator and proofreader for all of the Greek texts in the exhibition, to Miltiadis Kilendreas, who provided a second set of eyes for the Greek text, to Konstantinos Tsortsinis for editing the videos, to George Manginis, who introduced the idea of including modern Greek paintings, to the many Samothracians who shared images with us, and to Andreas Georgiadis and Vivi Yerolimatu, not only for their splendid exhibition design and beautiful catalog, but also for their several ideas that resulted in a more engaging exhibition. Now, while we have a lot to share, we would have little opportunity to do so without the support of our donors. We are deeply grateful to the Horace W. Goldsmith Foundation, to Katharina Hazapoyanis and David Blandford, to the McCabe family, and to Nicholas Pisaris for their generous commitment to the American School and to this exhibition. Now then, θεωρούμε την ομορφιά και την πολιτιστική κληρονομιά της Samothrace δεδομένη. Εκτιμούμε την ευκαιρία μας να είμαστε μέρος της. Τώρα είναι χαρά μου να καλέσω τον κύριο Αθανάσιο Βίτσα, δήμαρχο Samothrace, να ανεβεί στο βήμα. Κύριε Βίτσα.
Αξιότιμη κυρία Wescoat, κυρίες και κύριοι, όταν με την κυρία Wescoat συζητήσαμε την ιδέα του θέματος της σημερινής έκθεσης, ομολογώ ότι δυσκολεύτηκα. Δεν είμαι ποιητής ή ζωγράφος, ούτε ειδικός των σύγχρονων ψηφιακών πολυμέσων. Δεν είμαι ιστορικός ερευνητής. Έχω μόνο τη μεγάλη τιμή να εκπροσωπώ θεσμικά τη Σαμοθράκη, ένα νησί ιδιαίτερο με μυστηριακή άβρα. Σε μια δική μου διαδρομή, σε ένα φανταστικό ταξίδι στο χρόνο, 2.500 ετών, από τα χρόνια του Ομήρου ως σήμερα, εποχή που η τεχνολογία δίνει τη δυνατότητα για απεικονίσεις μεικτής πραγματικότητας, η ενοποίηση του πραγματικού και του εικονικού περιβάλλοντος καταγράφηκε στο νου μου ως μια ταινία μικρού μήκους. Ένα ταξίδι στον κόσμο, όπου ο χρόνος και η φαντασία συγχωνεύονται. Η Σαμοθράκη αναδύεται μαγευτική, το παρελθόν χορεύει με το μέλλον και οι μύθοι αποκτούν ζωή. Μια γη με ψηλό καταπράσινο βουνό και καταράκτες, που μοιάζουν να κατεβαίνουν από τον ίδιο τον ουρανό. Το άγριο φυσικό τοπίο καλύπτεται από ένα πέπλο μυστηρίου, καθώς οι σκιές των αρχαίων θεών περπατούν αόρατες ανάμεσα στους αιώνιους δρυμούς. Από τότε που οι μεγάλοι θεοί κυριαρχούσαν πάνω της, το φως που έλωζε τις νύχτες των μυστηριακών τελετών άφησε τη λάψη του στη γονιδιακή μου μνήμη. Στο κέντρο της Σαμοθράκης, ανάμεσα στις αρχαίες πέτρες και τους καλοσχηματισμένους ναούς, οι κάβεροι με τα λαμπερά τους ρούχα και τις τελετουργικές τους κινήσεις προσκαλούν τους πιστούς σε ένα κόσμο όπου η ψυχή εναρμονίζεται με το σύμπαν. Τα μυστήριά τους κρύβουν μυστικά των θεών, άγνωστα και απρόσιτα στους κοινούς νητούς. Και ακολουθεί η ομίχλη των πολλών μέσων αιώνων, μέχρι να φανούν οι λάμψεις κεριών στα 999 ξοκλήσια του και συνεχίζει μέχρι που να διαλυθεί η ομίχλη στην εποχή μας. Σε κάθε του σημείο ακούγονται απόϊχοι ψήθυροι αρχαίων τελετών και βυζαντινών ύμνων. Με την έλευση του HoloLens, οι σκιές αυτές μπορούν να αναβιώσουν με αξεπέραστη ζωντάνια. Εικονικές φιγούρες περιπλανώνται ανάμεσα στα ερείπια, αναβιώνοντας τις καθημερινές τους στιγμές. Οι μοιημένοι επισκέπτες της, με τα μαγικά γυαλιά, μπορούν να βυθιστούν σε έναν κόσμο όπου ο Όμηρος τραγουδά για τους ήρωες και η ιστορία αναπνέει και πάλι. Το παρελθόν μπορεί να αγγίξει το παρόν και το μέλλον, δημιουργώντας ένα ατελείωτο κύκλο ζωής και πολιτισμού. Η έκθεση που σήμερα εγκαινιάζεται έχει πολύ μεγάλο ενδιαφέρον, γιατί θα μάθουμε πώς οι διαχρονικοί καλλιτέχνες φαντάστηκαν ή είδαν το νησί αυτό, το περιβάλλον και τον πολιτισμό του. Τη δική μου πάντως φαντασία εξάπτει το ταξίδι στο χωρόχρονο που περιέγραψα πριν λίγο. Στο πέρασμα των αιώνων, ζωγράφοι και ποιητές που βρέθηκαν ή όχι στη Σαμοθράκη, ίσως με ένα παρόμοιο ταξίδι την ανακάλυψαν. Αναφίβολα όμως, μόνο οι αρχαιολόγοι την ερεύνησαν συστηματικά και επιστημονικά. Οι Αμερικανικές αποστολές από το 1938, το ζεύγος Καρλ και Φίλις Λέμαν, η Έλσμπελθ Ντούσμπερι, ο Τζέιμς Μακρέντι και σήμερα η Bonna Wescoat. Και φυσικά, με την ίδια αγάπη, αφοσίωση και σπουδαίο έργο, οι Έλληνες αρχαιολόγοι, Ανδρέας Βαβρίτσας, Τριαντάφυλλος Γαμαντής, Χρύσα Καραδήμα, Ματθαίος Κουτσομανής και κυρίως ο Δημήτρης Μάτσας. Όλα τα ευρήματα των ανασκαφών τους σήμερα εκτίθενται στο Αρχαιολογικό Μουσείο της Σαμοθράκης, ένα από τα ωραιότερα μικρά μουσεία της Ελλάδας, που εγκαινιάστηκε ανακαινισμένο το καλοκαίρι του 2024. Κυρία Wescoat, αγαπητή κυρία Bonna, σας ευχαριστώ για την τιμή που μας κάνετε με την έκθεση αυτή. Σας ευχαριστώ που ασχολείστε με το νησί μου με τόση αγάπη και αφοσίωση. Ευχαριστώ και όλα τα μέλη της Αμερικανικής Σχολής Κλασικών Σπουδών που εργάστηκαν για την έκθεση αυτή. Ελπίζω να μας κάνετε την τιμή να εμπνέετε συνεχώς τους σπουδαστές σας να συνεχίσουν. Κυρίες και κύριοι, η Σαμοθράκη είναι γη των θεών και των ανθρώπων, αξεπέραστη στις γραμμές του χρόνου, αλλά πάντοτε εύθραστη. Σήμερα αγωνιζόμαστε να ξεπεράσουμε τα προβλήματα των δημόσιων υποδομών τους, να ξεπεραστούν τα προβλήματα τα πολλά που έχει και φυσικά, χωρίς να κάνουμε καμία πολιτική, αγωνιζόμαστε για την μη εγκατάσταση ενός μεγάλου υπεράκτιου βιομηχανικού πάρκου αιωλικού. Εύχομαι λοιπόν όλοι να συνεχίσετε, αν την έχετε επισκεφτεί, ή να αποκτήσετε, αν δεν την έχετε επισκεφτεί, τη δική σας εμπειρία από τον τόπο αυτόν. Και γιατί όχι, αν οι συνθήκες σας το επιτρέψουν, να μοιηθείτε σε αυτόν. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Σας ευχαριστώ, κύριε Βίτσα. And now I would like to invite our co-curators, Ellen Archie and Rebecca Salem, to share with you some of the highlights of the exhibition that you're soon to see.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Salem, and this is my co-curator, Ellen Archie. Before we begin presenting the exhibition, Ellen and I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to Bonna Wescoat. Without her and her excellent guidance, we would not have the opportunity to delve into the scholarship of Samothrace and to share it with you tonight. The exhibition, Imaging, Imagining Samothrace, begins with Homer. His description of Samothrace describes the island's essential elements and is the voice that so many followed in their initial imagination of the island. Walking into the Makriyannis Wing, one first encounters Maria Philippoulou's flow, drawing the eye and imaging the qualities that Homer described. An antiquary's discovery. Our earliest known travelers to describe and depict Samothrace were the Florentine Franciscan monk Christopher Bondamonti and the merchant, diplomat, and antiquarian Cyriacus of Ancona. Bondamonti traveled to the Aegean in the early decades of the 15th century. To present his first-hand knowledge, he created the Isolario, a geo-literary genre combining maps and choreographic narrative centered on a collection of islands. His masterpiece, Liber Insularum Archipelagi, held at the Gennadius Library, includes a drawing of the island of Samothrace, labeled as Mandraki, and describes the island as rich in agriculture, honey, and goats. A generation later, Cyriacus of Ancona journeyed to the Greek East, where he wrote descriptions of the places he visited and drew antiquities, connecting them to his knowledge of ancient texts. Although Cyriacus's original works were largely destroyed, in the 15th century, Bartolomeo Fazio had replicated several of Cyriacus's drawings. On display in the exhibition is one of only 3 manuscripts that record Cyriacus's Samothracian renderings. On loan from the University of Oxford's Bodleian Libraries is the Codex Ashmoleensis, named after its former owner, Bernard Ashmole. Even in their copied form, Cyriacus's drawings are so carefully rendered that they can be matched with surviving antiquities, especially his representations of dancing maidens, which can be matched to the frieze blocks from the Hall of Choral Dancers. We are incredibly privileged to present the return of Cyriacus to Greece. At the manuscript, it is possible to see the folds of the pages and the intricacy of the line and just the imagination that pours forward. It is also quite fitting that these extraordinary manuscripts appear together, as later in Cyriacus's life, he had a copy of Buonamonte's Isolario in his possession. Thanks. A cartographer's challenge. Beginning in the late 15th century, the age of exploration took Western European explorers around the globe in search of expanded trading routes, greater wealth, and deeper knowledge. The Eastern Mediterranean offered excellent opportunity and had the further advantage of a rich body of ancient description. Inspired by the work of Buonamonte, cartographers of this age designed maps on which the island of Samothrace took a shape that blended text, imagination, and experience. Piacenza's map of Samothrace from 1688 shows an irregular coastline and a domed temple to Cybele. In the accompanying text, his description is the only known source for the late antique commentator Nicostratus, who provides an eyewitness account of the island. A portolan chart on loan from the Benaki Museum offers another way of looking at Samothrace. The text on the parchment is not meant to be read from a single viewpoint, but rather the map or the viewer is meant to move so that the lines can be read. On display in the exhibition, it is possible to do this by moving around the case. In the 18th century, greater accuracy in cartographic practices led to the representation of Samothrace in its characteristic shape, as shown in Truguet's map, which he also correctly identified locations of the island.
A philosopher's vision. Through the mid-19th century, Samothrace and its mystery cult continued to be known primarily through ancient texts. Some ancient writers, including Herodotus, associated the Samothracian gods with the Kabiroi, daimones associated with metalworking. Ancient texts on the Samothracian gods inspired the imagination of great minds shaped by the Enlightenment and its romantic legacies. Some were excited by the connections to magnetism and metalworking, which they saw as an important human development. A number of 19th century theologians and philosophers understood the Samothracian mysteries as a way to grasp a primordial connection to the divine across diverse human cultures in antiquity. This fascination in the perceived primordial nature of the Kabiroi and the Samothracian mysteries continued with 20th century thinkers interested in the nature of the human soul. They visualized the Samothracian Kabiroi as ever-transforming and transformative beings who were a metaphor for the self-actualization of the soul. We invite you to take a look at the strange plaster representations of the Kabiroi found on Samothrace, based on Rudolf Steiner's envisioning. An archaeologist's passion. The Samothracian cult that so intrigued philosophers began to be explored beyond texts only in the second half of the 19th century, when European travelers visited the island to document and study the ancient remains found there for the first time since the visit of Cyriacus of Ancona. The discovery of the Niki by Charles Champoiseau in 1863 immediately drew attention to the island. Alexander Konza brought an Austrian excavation team to Samothrace in 1873 and 1875, mapping, drawing, photographing, and describing. This prioritization of the physical record offered a new way of visualizing and communicating the importance of the cult of the great gods. Rather than grand panoramic vistas, Konza and professional photographer Wilhelm Berger focused on archaeological documentation. These images record foundations, trenches, and the process and progress of excavation with archaeological equipment that demonstrates scale and fixes these scenes in the archaeological process. Nicolaus Farvis, a learned Samothracian, also conducted excavations in the ancient city, documenting his findings in his journal. It was later given to Ion Dragoumis and is now housed in the American School Archives.
An architect's paradise. The innovative designs of buildings in the Sanctuary of Great Gods attracted expert architects who worked with archaeologists to understand the complex ruins. Each block's individual details were painstakingly drafted and recorded, then carefully pieced together to reconstruct the buildings within the sanctuary. Working at 1 to 10, 1 to 25, and sometimes even 1-to-1 scale allowed for accuracy and complete characterization. When published, the finalized drawings fit to a piece of paper, losing the sheer scale of their original form. On display are original drawings. Their scale, technique, and accuracy are impressive. They are themselves works of art. Across the drawings, there are noticeable differences based on the drafting materials available, contemporary architectural aesthetics and rendering techniques, and the style of each architect. Early reconstructions show a romanticized sanctuary. Later, architects such as Dennis Spittle employed highlights and shadows to achieve volume in line with Beaux-Arts conventions. The modernists, such as John Curtich, used line alone to achieve volume. Curtich's masterful drawings of the rotunda roof, shown here, include each of the 1,440 scale-shaped roof tiles, all drawn at the correct scale and dimensions. Upon its completion, a bottle of champagne appeared at his drafting table.
A column's transformation. In the 19th century, visitors to the ancient sanctuary, from Cyriacus of Ancona to 19th century architects, encountered a splendid but chaotic abundance of marble blocks scattered across the sacred valley and its framing plateaus. This changed in 1956 with the anastylosis of the columns of the Huron, forever transforming the sanctuary's appearance of rugged disorder to one with focus and orientation. The reconstructed columns immediately became the visual signature of the sanctuary and shape our image and imagination of it. The artist Paris Precus painted several watercolor views of the sanctuary of the great gods during his visit to Samothrace in July of 1969 on loan from the Benaki Museum. A photographer's lens. Non-archaeological photography has offered a way to focus our vision of Samothrace more sharply on the people themselves, their connection to each other, and to the island. In the work of 4 photographers whose images span more than a century, we witness a potent common theme, the inseparability of the island and its inhabitants. While working with the Austrian excavations, Wilhelm Berger also took compelling photographs of the landscape and its people. Spiros Melitzis, known as the poet of photography, took pictures of the island's natural environment, its traces of antiquity, and its enduring people in 1948. Over the summers of 1952 and 53, Stuart Shaw, excavation architect under the direction of Carl Lehmann, created many informal 3-dimensional stereo images capturing the convivial interactions between islanders and excavators. Be sure to pick up the stereo viewers and see his eye-popping images. Because they require special viewing equipment, many of these photographs have never been shared publicly. Island archaeologist Dimitris Matsas photographed the rapidly changing island life and landscape. By focusing on people and community, these photographers offer glimpses of the living cultural heritage of Samothrace.
An environmentalist's domain. Arriving on Samothrace, both in the past and in the present, one is overwhelmed by the variety and complexity of the environment. Verdant forests and rugged terrain are visible across the island, with hidden waterfalls waiting to be discovered. The island is a mosaic of geologic diversity comprised of basalts, granites, trachytes, porphyritic rhyolite, and various limestones. Study of the rock types comprising each building within the sanctuary and ancient city has revealed a vivid history of building construction as masons exploited different quarries in different periods. Most important on Samothrace is water. Maria Filopoulou's painting of a waterfall at Phonias, entitled Flow, embodies the essential qualities of the Earth's most precious resource. Here, geologic time, the regenerative force of nature, and human experience collide to create a sublime moment. For anyone who has been to these falls, it is easy to imagine themselves or a loved one as this figure, lost in the spray where the cascade meets the pool, feeling the crash of the water on their outspread body. A modeler's viewscape. Digital modeling has offered a new way to investigate the interaction of the natural and built environment on Samothrace, to privilege connective spaces and viewsheds, and to trace human movement as a fundamental component of sacred experience. Within the exhibition, a video displays 3 different digital projects that demonstrate the range of this innovative digital work and broaden our understanding of the initiate's experience within the sanctuary. In addition to modeling experience, 3D digital technologies offer an opportunity to virtually reunite ancient fragments and work with them in a uniformly scaled environment. The pedimental sculpture of the Huron, which is divided between the Kunsthistorische Museum Vienna and the Archaeological Museum of Samothrace, has been 3D scanned and 3D printed at 1:3 scale. Visitors to the exhibition are invited to search for joins and experiment with different figural compositions of the pediment.
World's icon. The discovery of the Nike of Samothrace in 1863 forever transformed the mystique of the island from a place of mysterious gods and secret initiation rites to the epicenter of a Western cultural icon. Nike, a divine winged female figure, is the ancient Greek embodiment of victory. Here, the Samothracian Nike lights on the prow of a warship to signal a naval triumph, a tour de force in contrasting marbles, daring technical achievement, masterful composition, and dramatic setting. The Nike of Samothrace is deservedly among the world's most famous sculptures. Today, the statue commands the top landing of the Daru staircase in the Louvre, a placement mimicking her original, lofty position above the theater in the sanctuary of the great gods. For more than 160 years, she has captured the world's imagination as a symbol of human victory, freedom, and triumph. Through the vision of Ion Dragoumis, diplomat, visionary, and revolutionary, Samothrace became an icon of the early 20th century struggle for independence in northern Greece. Dragoumis admired the Samothracians for their self-sufficient communal way of life, as outlined in his book, Samothraki. The Nike embodied this victorious self-sufficiency as the frontispiece of the second edition of his book. Together, Polykleitos Rengos and Mimi Palomini Gamba's works present the Nike as a figure that has taken hold of the world's attention, while one of her most important features remains at her home, yet to be found. A Samothracian's home. This exhibition has explored representations of Samothrace created by people who encountered the island as outsiders. No matter how often they might return, they are not natives. The Samothracians who live on the island and call it home today inevitably have a different perspective from the many visitors. However, their view is equally rich in images connected to the contours of the island and its seasons, their families and neighbors. The final section of the exhibition is therefore dedicated to the Samothracians and their images, and how their imagination endures within their island home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we now invite you all to come and see the exhibition, which is just across the way in the Makriyannis Wing. So, as Polemou, sin ekstasi.